Okay, take two on this one. Hi, ladies. Whoever's joining me right now, it's 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I had to do it a little bit early today. Hopefully the connection will work now. Welcome to day 2 of the challenge. Today I'll be talking about how to feel alive and hopeful now, even if you feel like a complete failure because you haven't found the one yet. And this one is a big one because I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about finding your purpose and living your life with purpose, because I think this is really huge as single ladies. I think we all have purposes in our life. We all have things that we need to accomplish, and using this time as a single lady to do that is so incredibly important. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yesterday I talked about letting go of expectations, of finding the one right now in your timeline, and trusting the universe that there is something out there that is better for you, suited for you at this time, and then to be open to that possibility. So today I want to talk about, like I said, how to feel alive and hopeful now, even if you feel like a complete failure that you haven't found the one yet. And by the way, you are not a failure because you haven't found the one yet. I think a lot of us put that expectation on ourselves. Society puts that expectation. Our families put that expectation that we have to find a partner by a certain age, get married, have kids, have a house, all of that by a certain timeline. And it's just not realistic. That is what we put that on ourselves. That is not what the universe has in store for us a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not about us, really. It's really about what the universe has in store. And that leads me into talking about your purpose, because I believe that we all come to this earth with a mission. I believe that we all have a purpose to fulfill. We have lessons to learn, and it's our duty and it's our obligation to make sure that we do that. And a lot of times we get sidetracked. So many things sidetrack us. We get caught up in other people's lives. We start living for them. We start taking care of children, other people's children. We start taking care of parents, and which, of course we have to do those things sometimes, but a lot of the time we get so caught up in it and that we forget that we're here too. We're a person, we're people, and we need to start fulfilling our role on this earth. And, we can't always live through others. And we also get distracted by dating. Forgot that one. We get distracted by trying to find that person because we have that expectation. Our parents want us to have, kids so they can become grandparents. So we get so caught up in that, that kind of like that race, like, oh, I got to find the one. And then your clock is ticking too. So I have to, meet the one by 35 so I can have kids by, get married by 37 and then have kids by 38. And, I could still have kids. It gets to be crazy, and it gets to be a little bit nutty. And I'm just speaking on experience too. So if you're going through that right now, I understand. So anyway, I got a little sidetracked, but, I really believe that when we're not given that opportunity to be with someone, to be with a partner, and to start that family, it makes you kind of take a step back and say, okay, so what am I supposed to be doing now? And nobody talks about this. Our families don't talk about this. We're raised in a society, like I said before, to get married and have kids by a certain time, but nobody talks about what are we supposed to do if that doesn't happen. And we're all kind of, just existing and floating around and trying to find what we need to be doing and kind of grasping at straws. Maybe you can relate that when you hit a certain age, you're constantly trying to find a man. You're either going out all the time on trying to meet somebody, you're online on dating sites, and, keep hitting the same wall. And like I said, when that happens, you have to take a step back and say, okay, what is really happening here? What do I need to do? So I can't remember if I said this in the first video before I ended it, but two things I want to talk about today is finding your purpose and living your life with purpose. So the finding your purpose part is huge, is absolutely huge. We're on I think, I did say this before, we're on a mission to fulfill a mission. We're on a mission to fulfill a mission. We're on a mission to fulfill our purpose on this earth and to learn lessons. And they come in the form of our heart's desires. So is there a talent that you have? Is there an idea for a side business that you have? Is there a career that you've always been longing to pursue but never had the time, or didn't think it was for you, or didn't think it was possible? All of those things are not there by accident. They are there because they are a part of you. They are things that you have to fulfill in this lifetime, and they're something that you have to share with the world. So, for instance, if you're born with a talent and you don't express that talent, you hide it, you're ashamed of it, or you don't think you're good enough, but everyone else says you are, that is there for a reason. You need to start expressing that. So using this time as a single lady to explore those things and discover those things is so incredibly important. So let me see, I'm just looking at my notes. So, think about what those things are in your life. And, we've had them since forever, I think, or sometimes they come a little bit later. But start listening to them, start cultivating them, start pursuing them. And oftentimes we get distracted and we use that as an excuse not to do that. And that does not lead to good things, because I truly, truly believe, and I've seen this over and over, when we are not living our purpose, and we're living by other people's expectations, we're living by other people's rules, we're living for other people, and we maybe get into codependent relationships and we neglect our heart, that is when several things start to happen. And that is when we're not living our truth. And when that happens, I believe we can experience depression and we can experience anxiety. And at the extreme form, I think we start to develop and manifest sickness in our body, because our body's calling out to us to do these things and to express ourselves in a truthful way. And when that doesn't happen, our body starts to shut down. And it's slow. It comes in the form of many, many sicknesses. So, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not, an expert in any of this, but I've seen it a lot. When people don't express their truth and express what they're supposed to be doing here, then these things start to manifest. Because you're shutting off your heart. And when you're shutting off your heart, you're shutting off that love that all of us are meant. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining me so early. I'm just talking about finding your purpose, and talking about when we don't find our purpose, we start to manifest sickness and depression and anxiety. So, a little bit about me. When I, realized that I wasn't finding the partner that I wanted, when I wasn't getting married, I took a step back and said, okay, I really need to start doing the things that I was meant to be doing. And I remember being a psychology major in college. I went for my master's in counseling, and I kind of just put that to the side because I was going through other things. I was distracted. I was depressed. I didn't want to pursue it. And here we come full circle. I'm now a health and life coach. So my purpose on this earth was to help people, and it came in the form of majoring in psychology, getting a master's in counseling, and I ignored it. I ignored it for years, and here we are full circle. So it wasn't until I finally decided to pursue it for real that my life started to change and started to open up, and I started to become happy again. So that is what I'm trying to my message for you right now is to really just say, what am I doing here? What am I doing? And go within, because you know the answers. You have them all right here. They've been there all along. You probably have just ignored them. and not really pursue them. And we tell ourselves these stories all the time, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or that's not meant for me, or there's no way that I can do this. I'm too old now to change careers. I don't have the money, or, we make up every excuse in the book not to do something. But that is just our ego talking and trying to convince us not to do it, to keep us safe, to keep the status quo. But, you have a choice. You can follow that and continue on the same path of feeling like crap, or you can, change directions and say, all right, I'm going to take this life by the horns and I'm going to make something out of it. So, that's really what it comes down to. I know I'm talking in simplistic form, but it really is. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It's the life transitions that I've had in the past, I don't know, 7 years are one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. But the fear of the alternative of being stuck and being depressed and being miserable was far, far, far worse than the fear that I had to change directions and take a risk. So if anybody has any questions, Julie, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so enough about life purpose, but I could talk about this forever. So if you have questions or want to private message me, go ahead. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about is living life with purpose. So there's two different, I talked about finding your purpose and now living with purpose. Because a lot of times, again, the distraction comes up. We want to find a man. We want to, get on dates when we're kind of like on this mission just to go on as many dates as possible so we can find that person. But then when you get there, it's like, okay, now what? So you've kind of neglected the rest of your life. I mean, there's a whole life out there. There's a whole world of things that you could be doing that are going to be very fulfilling for you. So I have a little activity for you to do, and this is really helpful in getting clear on what is going to make you happy on a daily basis, and really come back to and get centered, come back to yourself and get centered on what makes you happy. Like it really is that simple. What makes you happy? And we forget that because we're so focused on this one goal, and when it doesn't happen, then we're like, oh, now what? We've kind of neglected ourselves. So I'm just looking at my notes, but here, if you have a pen or journal, pen and paper, you can write these down. And actually, I will post it in the group too, so you can do this. It's a really fun activity, and it really kind of connects you back to your heart and allows you to listen to what's going on. Okay, and this is extremely important to do. So I hope you take advantage of it. So it's an exercise where you get to create your perfect day. And it includes things that we normally wouldn't include in a day because we, usually get so caught up in our daily routine, going to work, taking care of kids, taking care of parents. We just get caught up in that treadmill of a day where we forget to add little things in our lives that we love and that make us happy. So, okay. So to do this exercise, I like to create a whole scene for it just to, get really cozy, really centered, really comfortable. So light a candle, make yourself a favorite beverage. I'm not opposed to a glass of wine, make some tea, some hot cocoa, get comfortable. Play some soothing music, something that's going to relax you. Turn off the phone, turn off the TV, any distractions. Put a blanket around you, get really comfortable, get cozy. Maybe put on, I don't know if you have like some water rock formation, like a water thing or something. I don't know, something that's going to make you feel really comfortable. Get a favorite journal. And we can actually do this right now, not the extended version, but we can practice. But sit for a minute with your eyes closed and take a deep breath. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . and imagine the most perfect day for yourself. What would that look like? And set aside any limiting thoughts that say, oh, this would never happen in my day, or this is too big to ask for, or I have to stay practical because I have my to-do list. Get rid of all of that. If none of that existed and you can have a day for you, then what would that look like? And just let your mind go. This is a time to fantasize, to open yourself up, be creative. We often shut that part of ourselves down too, our creativity, and that needs to be woken up. So imagine yourself in your perfect day and ask yourself, what does it look like? And visualize it as you write. What activities does it include? Does it include other people? And that's okay if it does. And go through the whole day. So from the time you wake up, write about how you want to feel, and go hour by hour. What are you doing? And really focus on the feelings. How do you want to feel in this day? Do you want to feel peaceful? Do you want to feel relaxed? Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel giddy? Like just think about how you want to feel. We kind of tend to numb ourselves when we get to this point in our life because, we're just despondent about things not happening and we forget to have that joy. And one of the quickest ways to bring more joy into your life is to feel joy now. So this is a great exercise to allow that to come up. Another thing to include is positive things. So include things in the positive affirmation, not negative. So don't say I don't want to have a bad day, or I don't want to be upset. Just say I would love to be happy, or I would love to feel at peace today. So always in the positive. And really let your mind go with this, and just, pretend like you're a kid in the candy store and you just think of the most juiciest day that you can think of. And let those feelings of excitement come up, and let yourself feel those things. And regardless of whether or not you think this is ever going to come true, that doesn't matter. Your brain actually doesn't know the difference between reality and and what you're writing down or what you're thinking about. So you are going to create this. You're going to create this on some level. So go with it. Just go with it and go as big with it as you can. So after you've done this, just take a deep breath and say a little prayer of gratitude for this day that you just created, and take a nice deep breath and just sit there and read it. Read it for however long it is, and really let it sink in. Just close your eyes, visualize it, and then just drink water after you're done, because you just did a lot of processing and you just did a lot of creating. So just drink some water. And you can read this vision every night before bed or every morning before you start your day. And it just starts your day on a really great note. And you can also start to discover a lot of things about yourself. Writing is it's very powerful. Very, very powerful. And I think a lot of times when we hear about journaling or, writing down things, it kind of, the message in that, or the power in that, is kind of lost. But it's so incredibly powerful to write things down. We start to learn things about ourselves. That we start to uncover things about ourselves. And yeah, it could be a little bit scary, sure, but they need to come out. Because if you want to start living your best life and start to be really happy, these things need to start coming out. Because I said it before and I'll say it again. I said it earlier in the video. When you start shutting yourself down and start denying yourself of what's inside your heart, then that's why you become depressed and angry and sad and just not living your best life. So this journal exercise I love because it really sparked, for me, it really sparked my my manifesting juices. Like when I think about where I live right now, I look back at my journal entries and I pretty much got everything that I wanted in this place that I live in. And it's not a huge apartment, but it's really got everything that I wrote down. So you never know what the power of writing can do for you. So this is an awesome exercise. So I hope you do it, and I'll post it in the group so you can have it in writing next to you so you can see it. Julie, do you have any questions for me? Thank you so much for joining me so early, but that is it for today. So just to recap, it's about finding your purpose. So using this time as a single lady, and maybe putting dating on the back burner for a little bit, or maybe putting the pursuit of a partner on the back burner for a little bit, and use this time as a single lady to really discover what you want and what it is that you need in your life, and to live with purpose. That's the other thing, to live with purpose. So to discover these things that you love and start doing them. Just make a list of all of the things that you have been wanting to do and just start doing them. It's so important. We think we can't do it because we're not with somebody, and it's going to be boring or it's going to be lonely. But grab a friend, join a meetup, find people who are in your tribe that are doing the same things or like the same things you do, and you'll never know what can happen from meeting those people. So this is a really great time to do that. Really, it's a message from the universe to take a step back and say, oh, okay, I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to do what makes me happy. Okay, so I think I rambled enough for today. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about how to get excited about life without spending all your free time searching dates, dating sites, finding the one. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be actually on at 9 a.m., so a little bit later time. If anybody has any questions, you can just PM me or write at the bottom, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.